All right, hey, Jeff Carter here from 828 Combat Systems. To accompany the article I wrote this month, I have one of my students here, Billy. He's getting ready to strap on with a purple belt, so congrats for that. What we're going to go over is a couple of my favorite wrist locks, so I hope you guys enjoy. All right, the first wrist lock we're going to work is when you're in side control trying to attack for an Americana. So, I'll have you lay down here. All right, so we're in side control, and a lot of the times you'll have somebody come up to cross face you and put the hand on the shoulder to reinforce and make that frame. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to switch our hip to sit out, and we reach up to get a hold of the wrist. As soon as we get a hold of the wrist, as I start to roll up to lock it in here and switch my hips back to flatten out, this is one variation to the Americana. You know, what works for me might not work for the next guy. This is one way you can set up an Americana as long as you have a strong base. As soon as I get here, he's going to want to reach over with his hand to grab his wrist to defend. As soon as that happens, I'm going to switch my hip back, bringing my leg high up into his armpit to keep his arm from being able to come back through. As soon as he does that, I'm going to reach down and under, grabbing the wrist here, circling my arm back out, and then I'm going to drive my weight forward. All right, one more time real quick. I go like this here in good side control, keeping posture cross facing. He comes to try to frame up to push me away to make space. I'll switch my hips, bring my hand through, and grab a hold of the wrist. I circle up to start to work the Americana. As I start to switch my hips back, he'll reach across. It does not matter if he grabs under or over. Last one he grabbed under. This one, if he grabs over to defend and hold, it's the same way. I switch my hips, I bring it up heavy. I'll get a hold of the wrist here and here. I'll pull it back into my body and finish with the wrist lock. All right, the next one we're going to run over real quick. Wrist locks are from when you're in the bottom guard and your opponent, you start working, grip fighting, and he gets so frustrated that he'll reach down and grab your lapel. Or in no-gi, it could be your wrist. What we're going to do, as soon as he grabs here, we'll let him think that he has control of it. As soon as we are ready to attack, I will lift my elbow up and I will circle my hand underneath. As soon as I circle my hand underneath my arm, I'm going to roll my wrist back to get his hand to face up. So as I reach over, his hand starts to come up, my hand is going to rotate towards him. All right, so if I put it all together, I reach up and under, I roll up, I grab my own bicep, and then I'm going to roll his wrist backwards. One more time. He's getting sick and tired of me trying to grip fight to get a dominant grip for a sweep or a submission. So he'll control, and a lot of guys will try to break the guard this way too. They'll keep the elbow here and then try to break this way. But who's to say if it's right or wrong if it works for that individual? From here, he gets frustrated, so I lift my elbow, and if you can drag it up a little bit, that's even better on you. So I reach over, rotate my hand towards his face, up under, get the bicep, and slide it down on top of the wrist. And all I'm going to do is turn my pinky to the floor as I hug that arm back in. That's one from the guard bottom. All right, the next wrist lock we're going to talk about is one of my favorites. Let's say that I attack from the triangle. So I get through, I push the hips up, throw the arm through, pull the arm across, get my angle and come down. All right? I'm going to leave it loose to demonstrate. So what a lot of guys try to do to make space and buy those extra precious seconds to mount a defense, he'll bring his hand across and answer the telephone. All right? I know we've all been shown this. This is a double whammy. It's something that I use in succession of one or the other, depending on if I catch one or need to switch to the next one. As soon as I have pulled that arm across, if he starts to, even if I'm holding the head, if he starts to manage to drag it back across to answer that telephone to make space, I'm immediately going to turn my hand down. I am going to break my own rule, and I'm going to use my thumb on this one, and I'm going to grab his wrist upside down. As soon as I grab his wrist upside down, I'm going to circle my hand inside. So if he's got a tight telephone, I get the wrist, sit up, and come around. The reason I like this one is because from here it's easier to break his wrist grip and strength by using my thumb and curving down versus getting all 4 fingers on his wrist here. I turn down, thumb, grab the hand, rotate around. From here, all I'm going to do is rotate the wrist straight towards the ground. If I feel him start to straighten his wrist back out and he's a stronger guy than me, I'm going to rotate it out. I'm going to slide my knee up to his head, pinch my knees together, keep this grip, rotate it out as an Americana, apply the wrist lock at the same time, put them both together. If he doesn't tap from one, he will tap from the other. So one more time. From the guard, I manage to break his posture. I lift, come across, get my angle, lock in the triangle. I'll leave a little space so you guys can see. He reaches across, answer the telephone, start to posture up. Turn down, grab the wrist, fish through, hook my own wrist, immediately start to rotate his wrist to the outside, hug my elbows together, apply the wrist lock. All right, if he doesn't tap from that or you start to feel like you're losing the wrist lock, rotate his arm out, which makes it hard for him to straighten his wrist because it's straining his shoulder, and then apply the wrist lock and the Americana together. It's one of my favorites.